And welcome back to my next video. We're doing another unboxing today of a big Bluetti product. I have just become an enormous fan of Bluetti. I think they make by far the best power stations that you can buy. And for the price, you get so much. And most important, they're listening to their customers. And when their customers say, I wish I had this and I didn't do this, this is bad, they respond. Well, that's exactly what we're going to look at today. We're going to look at the AC200P Max. Now, within the last 3 months, I did a review of the AC200P, and it was fantastic. I highly recommended it. So because they listened so well, they took the AC200P, which was fantastic, and it fixed all of its problems and sent it to us as the AC200P Max. Got to have a little flair there. It's the Max unit, and it really is the Max. It solved all the problems that I had with the old one and is now number one. It's the best. They also have a new AP300, but I don't have it, and it's beyond what nearly all of us need. It's 300 means it's 300 watt hour battery and a 3000 watt pure sine inverter. It's much more than any of us need. This is going to be the unit I'm going to recommend to you. So let's see what's in this box, and it'll be a surprise. One of the first things they did is they allowed you to add external batteries. And so they sent me one of the external batteries, and let's get it out. So these have the AC200P Max has a battery watt hour of 2048, which is about essentially the same as what the AC200P was, the original. And this battery bank that they've sent us is double. So this is another 2048 hours. So between the two of them, and you could add a third one. You could have the AC200P Max, this battery bank, and another battery bank. And between the three of them, you'd have over 6,000 watt hours of battery. And if you were running an RV, or if you were using this for your home, that would be a very, very good thing. But this is, of course, they got a manual. There's always a manual and things to look at. And the big thing here is the cable. Look at the size of this cable. My goodness gracious. So it came with its own cable. This will allow you to connect this battery to the AC200P Max. Now, oh my! Gonna get too old to do this, I think. Oh! The sound effects help. They make all the difference. There it is. So this is an external battery that you will then connect with this. The good thing about it is that you can use it as a kind of a crippled up battery station of its own. It does have a 12 volt outlet. You can plug 12 volt items into it, and you can, this is the big cable where this goes. I don't know if it makes any difference, probably not. This goes on like this. And it has a lock. Yeah, it can't come out now, so it's locked. And then you have to turn it on and unlock out. And oh, that's the input. You can charge it by itself. You can turn the power on, and then it has two USBs. So it has two USB ports and a 12 volt port that you can use just all the time. You can charge it on its own. You have to buy another device, another $200 device, to charge this off of solar. You can't charge this directly from solar or from 110 volt. You can only charge this the way it's sitting from the power unit itself, or you can buy this $200 thing that allows you to charge it from solar. So this thing is $1,800, $1,799. Right now, I think they have like either $300 or $400 off on it. And so that brings it down a lot, but that's still a very, very, very expensive battery. but it isn't. So let me compare it. It's $17.99 and it's 177 amp hours. I own on my ambulance two Battleborns, 100 amp hours each, 200 amp hours total. They cost me $1,800, 900 each. So this is the same price as a 200 amp hour Battleborns, except this is only 167 amp hours. But it does have the connections. You can take things directly off this, and it does tie into the other system. But that means it's not really all that overpriced, and at $400 off, this is as good a deal as the Battleborns per amp. And that's what you have to think about. How much am I paying per amp hour? Okay, so on this box, this is going to be the AC200P Max, the improved version of the original AC200P. And we've seen the battery that connects to it. That's a big part of what they corrected. But that was not even the most important thing as far as I'm concerned. The one really negative to the AC200P is its weight. It's 60 pounds. So this one's 62. It's 2 pounds heavier. And so it is a big, heavy box, and you really have to think about that. Can you handle the weight of this thing? So now this is the actual AC200P Max. You can see here on the front, we have a couple of slight improvements. It's now 2,048 watt hours. I think that's a very slight increase. And the inverter is 2,200. There could be occasions where that extra 200 watts could make a difference, but it's not very likely. So we'll open her up. Of course, you get your manual, and you get the charger. This is the 110 charger that charges off the wall. And it's fast. It is really fast. So the first cable you get, this connects it to MC4s. These are an MC4 connector, and that allows you to use any solar panel. You don't have to just use their solar panels. Any solar panel with MC4 will power this thing. And then this is the charger off of the cigarette lighter plug, obviously. This is some weird plug. I don't know what this is. I've never seen this used. It's some new thing that I don't know about. And this is the part that goes from into the wall. Okay, and now the big unveiling of the actual unit. I'm telling you, the grunts are very, very important. You must have grunts when you do this. There's nothing else that earns you a lot of sympathy. So, in most ways, it's not dramatically different, but there are a few changes which are game changers. So one of the really, really important things here, one of the big changes, is they've added on a 30 amp plug. So if you're an RV, you have a standard 30 amp plug that you plug into the RV park whenever you go to one. Well, you can just take that and plug it directly into here instead. And it will now run your whole entire RV. And that's where these extra battery packs come in. Because if you're going to run a whole RV off of this thing, you're really going to need a lot of juice. By adding on an extra battery or two, you can just have an enormous amount of battery bank behind you. Or if you're in a place where you have frequent power outages and you're wanting to run your whole house with this, again, the one in here is great, but if you have that extra battery and the second extra battery, you are really, really in good shape. You can run your whole house for quite a while with that much battery pack. So with one battery, you have 100, on this one you have 170 amp hours. And with two, you have 341 amp hours. You just double it because they're the same size. And with three, you have 512 amp hours. Now remember that with LifePo 4, they can go down to the full 20%. You can use the first 80% and take it down to the 20%. And so you've got a lot of power setting in here if you get all of the batteries. And you can see I've connected it, the cable. These two are connected together now. If I was had the solar panels out and dispersed, it would be charging the both of them at the same time. And that's really good. And when I'm drawing, then in the evening when the sun goes down, when I'm drawing, it's drawing from both of them at the same time. They're connected in parallel. Okay, so the battery is a really, really good addition. For most of us, I don't think it's something we're going to worry about or want or need. But there is something, they made one more change. They made a lot of little changes, but there's one more, what I think is an enormous change. So the one big thing they fixed that was a really big flaw on the first AC200P was it required 35 volts of solar before it would accept anything. So minimum of 35 volts. And so what that meant was we had to have 3 panels in series before it would take a charge. So that we had the 200-watt panels that they sent us. So we could have 2 of them in series and it still would not charge because it wasn't 35 volts. And that doesn't make sense to me, but that was our experience. As soon as we added the 3rd panel in series, we got over 35 volts and it charged like crazy, extremely, extremely well. So the key thing was you had to have 3 panels of whatever size before this thing would even take a charge. And the old ACP200, the Max solves that. It will start taking a charge. Now, I haven't tested this yet, but according to the manual, it will start taking a charge at 10 volts, which every solar panel puts out more than 10 volts. So no matter if you hook up one 100-watt panel, it will start charging this. And that is so important because, you know, most of us can't buy 3 panels. So the original one would take up to 700 watts charging. This one will take up to 900 watts. All you have to do is make that combination. And so that is another big improvement. You've jumped up to 900 watts of solar, and any amount of solar will charge this thing. So they made some small changes. Those were the big changes. The addition of the extra battery that's plug-inable, 2 extra batteries that you can plug in. The 30 amp service, I think that's a huge thing. If you're in an RV, that's going to be a huge plus to you. And the fact that now you can start charging with just one 100-watt panel. Most of you are going to definitely want more. That's not enough, but it's a really good start, and you can do something with 1 panel. But then there are a lot of smaller changes. One of them is it has a power delivery PD port, USB. So this is a USB PD port, power delivery. And the old one was 60 watts, and this is 100 watt, and that's important. If you have a MacBook, or if you have a little high-powered PC laptop, then they require 100 watts of PD power to be charged. And so that means you won't have to use your inverter anymore to charge it. You can just plug it straight into the PD port. And I think that's a really big plus. Again, it's just the company listening and responding when people said, this is what I need. And they've delivered it, and very quickly. This will also allow you to charge it off of the wall and off of solar at the same time. So you can plug in your solar panels, up to 900 watts of solar panels, and you can plug in your 110 volts outlet and plug it in and be charging with a total of 1400 watts. And that means if it's already all the way depleted to 20%, you can go from 20% to 100% in about 2.5 hours. And that's incredible. This one will only run 16 devices, and the old one, the original, would run 17 all at once. But remember, it will run them all at once while you're charging it. So everything can be coming out and everything can be going in at the same time. The inverter did go up to 2200 watts from 2000, pure sine wave. That will run virtually anything you could possibly want. And it has, at the same time, it has 4 different 110 outlets. So you can plug 4 items into it, and as long as they don't add up over 2200 watts total, it will power all of them all at once. That's another big thing. So let me give you my initial impressions. We haven't used it. I haven't charged anything with it. I haven't done anything with it. I'm assuming it all works just according to the way it says. Now I'm in the ambulance, and before that it was a van. I've lived in pickups, beds, and so for a small space, nearly all of us, I would not buy this. This is $1,800, and the old AC200P is $1,800. This new unit is the AC200P Max is $2,100. I think this would be all I could ever need. I would not need this extra battery. But I tell you what, if I did I thought I'm really going to have that much extra battery. I don't believe I'd buy a battery. I'd buy 2 of these. It's almost the same price. This is $2,100. This is $1,800. But look what I get for that extra $400. I get the entire unit, and I have redundancy. If you're going to buy a battery station, buy Bluetti. The others, Jackery, the Jackery 1500, they give you 500 cycles. 2 or 3 years and that thing's dead and you're throwing it away. This gives you 3,500 cycles. The EcoFlow, they have the EcoFlow Delta, it's another big one. It gives you 800 cycles, maybe 3 years, maybe 4 years, and then you throw that thing away. You throw it away. It's not you done. Throw it away. This gives you 3,500 cycles. Don't even consider anything else. Buy LifePo 4. That's how you get those 3,500 cycles plus. So that I covered, just covering all this took a lot of time. So I'm going to quit here. And then on my next video on this, I'll show you actually using it. And I'll do that really quickly. They'll come out, hopefully they'll come out the same day right beside each other so you don't have to wait for them. Using it in my actual real world use. So I hope you got something out of this video. If you did, like us on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, hit that thumbs up button, and we'll talk to you.